gardener, master naturalist, and master forest owner volunteer through Cornell Cooperative Extension. He served on the board of trustees of the Columbia Land Conservancy and is a founding member of the Taconic Community Forest. Tim's passion is incorporating native plant species into our gardens and local habitats. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Pat, who will talk more about CLC and the community forest. Take it away.
Thanks, Heidi. And hello, everyone. I'm Pat. Thank you so much for joining the call today. The Taconic Community Forest has, from the start, been something that has attracted a really wide audience, and the energy and enthusiasm to support it has made it a really special project for me to be a part of. So I'm glad to be talking about it with you all today. CLC brings people together to conserve, appreciate, and enjoy land. Heidi mentioned this in my bio, but I'm part of the team that manages not only this property, but all of the 5,000 plus acres that CLC owns across the county. 10 properties that have been open to the public to this point. And to manage these properties, we try to fully balance the ecology with recreational, agricultural, and educational opportunities. Basically, we want a healthy, diverse landscape that people of all ages, interests, and abilities can feel welcome to enjoy. Increasingly, we've been taking on active management of natural resources and ecological restoration projects where they're needed to create opportunities for or safeguard healthy and resilient habitats. These places can serve as demonstration sites, hopefully showcasing sound and scalable, creative ways to care for natural places, while fostering an ethic of care in the land in all of the users of these sites. Heidi, you can go to the next slide. The Taconic Community Forest really started with the Taconic Headwaters Conservation Plan. This was an effort that started in 2020 with a group led by CLC to develop a watershed-focused plan for the Taconic watershed. The plan aimed to highlight the importance of connected forests and healthy ecosystems for both people and wildlife. And you can read the vision there. This predates my time with CLC. So actually, if you have questions on this, if you want a copy, we've got so many, and if you have questions, Heidi was part of this project, and there's multiple people in the group here today that were part of this effort. Next slide. What this was able to accomplish was really create some priority areas in the watershed. So during the planning phase, CLC successfully applied for and received a DEC grant via the Water Quality Improvement Program that was based on this plan, which highlighted the Taconic Community Forest property as a key area for conservation. The plan cites this property's resilience to climate change, high scores in patch size, connectivity, wildlife value relative to other forests in the Hudson Valley. Additionally, and importantly, it serves as a protective buffer for the drinking water for the residents of the city of Hudson. So we were able to receive this grant using the plan. Heidi, next slide. And since then, CLC has been working hard to acquire these 500 acres in the Headwaters region. So the property that is now known as the Taconic Community Forest was funded mostly through this water quality improvement program. And while we were kind of working on the acquisition of the property, we already were getting the ball rolling with a steering committee that included Tim and Betsy to develop the governance framework, to create the community forest committee, to ensure community involvement and create stakeholders in this really great project. Next slide. This model is new to us. It's new in Columbia County, and it's quite different from how other land in the county is managed. So this community forest committee consists of, I want to say 10 committee members, including the committee chair, Betsy, the CLC board liaison, and the CLC, I serve as the staff liaison, so I'm not actually part of the committee, but I am very present. And the goal of the committee is to plan for and steward the forest. So what I love about this is that the decisions kind of that are guiding the management of the forest are being made by the people who are most impacted by these decisions. So we work together. We've had 2 committee meetings so far, and almost immediately it's kind of been proof in the pudding that this is a group of people that really care about this property and this project succeeding. We have set a lot of ambitious timelines for this property, including the volunteer kickoff, which happened last spring. And we saw more volunteers than we've ever had at a volunteer work day, all show up to do a big tree planting and plant more trees than CLC has ever planted and have more volunteers in one place than CLC has ever had. Heidi, you can go through the next couple slides, which really just showcase I think the enthusiasm and support that has already been cultivated to care for this forest. That is all I really have, but I am very excited to turn this over to Tim and Betsy, who are doing great things to help us care for this forest.
Yes, sir. Heidi, could you go to the next slide? So I am Tim Kennelty, and I'm sitting here with Betsy, and we wanted to start just by telling you kind of why we decided to get involved in this project. First of all, thank you for all coming. Really appreciate your being here, and a pleasure to be with you tonight. So for me, anyway, I have been a volunteer for CLC for many years and worked on a lot of projects and was on the board as well. And I just think it's the most fantastic organization, and it keeps getting better and better and evolving. And when I heard that CLC was planning to acquire with a grant a piece of property, 500 acres, part of the Taconic headwaters, as well as having this be a community forest with people in the community governing this property, I just thought it was kind of the perfect storm for me, because I was kind of looking for a project that really met my needs, and my needs right now are this time in my life. I'm really looking for projects to kind of leave a legacy, to really think about what I can leave behind. And this really just seemed the perfect project, because our community, and you've heard this from Pat already, is just an amazing community of people. I thought, what perfect community, what perfect town and adjoining towns of people to work on something like this. And for me to be involved in this personally, it's a privilege, it's an honor, and it's a huge responsibility. And I'm really delighted to talk to you tonight about this. And very delighted to be here with Betsy, who's a friend of mine who I kind of roped into this in the very beginning and said, like, I think it'd be great to be part of this project. And we've worked together from the very beginning on this.
Yeah. How can you say no to that? Right? Yeah. Tim's been inspirational. Patrick's been great. Heidi's been great. We've had a really great time together. And as all of you have already said, the enthusiasm and support that we've gotten from the community has been remarkable. And I'm all about community engagement and involvement and getting people connected and really working on building community. So I am also honored to be part of this venture that we are embarking on.
Go to the next slide.
Yeah.
Next slide, Heidi. So we just thought we'd talk a little bit about what's happened this year since we've been involved in this project. This is just a list. It's kind of a table of contents of what we're going to be talking about. And you can go to the next slide. So from the very beginning, I think, and I don't even know, I was thinking back who brought this up. We thought about having a big tree planting event as our first event. Part of this was because we thought, you know, there's a piece of land within this community forest that is kind of a meadow, perfect for planting trees, right? And I'm kind of a treeholic, so I just thought, let's do this, right? We also thought that it was probably a really good way to really engage the community. When you plant a tree, it's really something special. I think it's something that really you're putting hope in that tree. And the idea of people being able to plant trees and be able to see them throughout this project, we just thought would really bring people together. It's also, to some extent, I think, and someone asked us, I think early on, like, it's a forest, why are you planting trees, right? I think one of the reasons why we did this was we thought, look, there's so much deer pressure. We want to put up a deer fence around this. We want to plant a wide variety of trees, see which ones survive. And I pestered Pat like crazy when we were going through this, thinking about all the different species of trees, and Troy as well. I think Troy and I both worked on the tree list as well as Pat. We really wanted to plant a variety of tree species to have kind of see proof of concept, what trees survived, what trees did well in the forest without deer pressure. So the idea of this was a proof of concept, but also really to engage the community. And then I think we want to talk a little bit about the preparation for this. And I think what Betsy and I, we were talking about this, both were so impressed by the CLC staff because they put together these projects and we didn't realize how much preparation goes into these things, like amazing preparation. We talked about this for many, many weeks and many, many months, I think, in terms of how we would do this. And we kind of were like, how do we get lots and lots of people together to plant hundreds of trees? How does this happen? So the CLC staff, amazing. Luke, Andrew, and Pat did all kinds of removal of invasives because we knew we didn't want to start with invasives. They dug holes, and you'll see, and if you were there that day, you'll see holes pre-dug. They delivered soil and mulch. The Taconic Fire Company brought water. Also, the PRISM folks, the Partnership for Regional Invasive Species Management, were there. They brought tools. We had volunteers that put up the fencing. This went on for weeks and weeks and weeks. So it was no small feat. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. And we were out looking at trees.
Yeah, we did a lot of tree shopping too, which was quite fun.
Yeah, the staff, they augured over 800 holes.
Yeah.
Right? It was an incredible task. And then this beautiful thing happened and everybody showed up.
So Heidi, do you want to go to the next slide?
Look at this.
Heidi's new name is Slidey, I think. So this is our aerial photo of all the tree holes that as we began. And the day came and it was an amazing, amazing day, right, Bats?
It was an amazing day.
You want to go to the next slide?
Slide.
So as Pat, I think, kind of intimated, this was a huge success. We had more than 100 volunteers, which just kind of blew our minds, right? Planted over 1,200 trees.
Or 1,500, depending on which day you ask us.
It just was an amazing, amazing day. If you were there, you know kind of the energy that we were all feeling. And just we felt so good about it. And you can see, we're going to show you a couple of slides of photos. People just had such joy, I think, on their faces and just enjoyed working with other people. It just was, you know, when you see all the horrible things happening in the world, something like this just gave me real hope that, you know, there's a real community and people care and they want to do things and they want to do things that make a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, when you have that many people together, it just builds an energy. When you've got that big a crowd, there was just this enthusiasm rippling throughout that field. It was exciting. It was great to be part of. We had the entire Taconic Town Board there. Our town supervisor, Ryan Scott, and his family were there. I think they planted more trees than anybody.
They were like machines.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, look at the faces of these three women.
It's
here.
amazing.
That's how we were all feeling. It was great. It was such a great way to start.
And again, you'd think there'd be so many people, it might be chaotic. But again, we asked Pat, can you put together a plan for how this is going to work? And it was a really well done plan.
It was amazing.
The people worked in teams, they worked together. I mean, you can see from these pictures. And again, the smile on people's faces, they just were enjoying themselves and having a good time. I had people come who I knew who never had planted a tree, who just wanted to be there as part of this. And they had a wonderful time, right?
Yeah. Next slide. Next slide.
And as you can see, the groups of people, Pat kind of giving instruction, and people working together, which was just an amazing thing.
Yeah.
More?
Yeah.
I guess you can go next.
Oh, yeah. And then, so we had this great day. And, we had big plans. We were going to go back, water the trees. Life got in the way. We finally got out there in July. And
they were bare root trees. So we thought, well, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if it's going to rain. We don't know if there's going to be drought. We don't know what's going to happen.
And we had, we went out, Patrick and Heidi and myself went out, and this is what we saw. Over 90% of the trees were thriving. Because of the deer fence, the meadow itself was awash in flowers. There were monarch butterflies. I mean, it was magic.
It was magical.
It felt like I don't know. It was like a sign, that something special is happening here. It was really, really rewarding. All that hard work paid off in spades. It was great.
And I think we're really looking forward to this spring to see how much the trees have grown and how much more sprouting and things like that, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll all join us this spring to look at those too.
That's the pond. That's actually on the property, and it's just that lovely. Although, there are a few invasives. Try not to pay attention to those. We're going to get
I thought it looked pretty.
Get those cleared out. So then later on in the summer, we started really, kind of, the CLC put an application form in on their website, and there was a tremendous response to positions for both committee members and land stewards. So we had this, a wealth of choices wealth of applicants to choose from. And that was a great process. We had a great time together doing that. Next slide. And then we got together in September, and Patrick led a land steward training. A lot of the committee members came, just some volunteers came. We talked about how to take care of the trees, some of the potential tasks that would be necessary to keep this place thriving and growing.
And because it's not just the committee, we really value the land stewards. The land stewards are going to be doing a lot of the work and the monitoring and the help and the real management of the forest. And so incredibly important that they were there, that they showed up, that there are people who are volunteering, and we can never have too many land stewards. So if anybody's on the line who is interested in being a land steward, you should reach out to us after that. But it was a great day when we did the land steward training.
Yeah, and it's just so rewarding to see, again, all the work that had been put in and how well things were going along. So it was really inspirational for everybody.
Smiles on faces again, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
How could you not smile? Wouldn't it be nice for all of us to be in that green sunshine right now? Woof. Next slide.
Do you want to start?
You can chat.
So I think for me, one of the real epiphanies was when we met with a forester that Pat engaged, a person who is going to help us as a committee put together a management plan. This is Corey Cregan. He was fantastic. We went out in the woods with him. And I think that kind of this huge responsibility of managing this forest was, how do we do this? How do we even start? And he did a beautiful job of breaking down the forest into quadrants or sections, and basically walking us through and saying, here's what we could do and here's what we might do. For instance, there were areas where there were big, large, mature trees, and maybe they were overshading kind of new trees that were coming in. What should we do with that area? There are areas that were a little bit invasive. What should we do with that area? And how can we prioritize this work? And for me, that gave me great kind of hope and solace that we actually could put together a plan and prioritize what we needed to do.
Yeah, I think it felt less daunting. You know, it's broken into 10 different tree stands, and with possible management suggestions for each one. And I think all of us that went on that walk, everybody started talking about ideas and plans, and it made it manageable.
Yeah,
it was really great. Corey's a gift. And all this is done because we want to open this thing in June.
That's right. And dogs came along, which was wonderful.
On leashes.
Yeah.
See that one on a leash?
Yes. They weren't always on a leash.
Oh, that one was a leash.
Do we want to go to the next slide?
Sure, we can go to the next slide. And this is some of the work that Corey did, mapping out these different areas, identifying significant stands of trees, wetlands, natural communities, wildlife habitat, to give us something to start working towards.
And this is just the beginning. I think this is really foundational for us. I mean, one of the things that I think we discovered that we needed to really prioritize was to make sure that we had trails in place for the opening.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, didn't you segue into that? Nice.
I really like to talk about being out there mapping the trails. I wasn't out there in the snow. Some of the people on the conference today were, and I give them huge credit. It was very cold. They went out and mapped with mapping tools, which are beyond me. But it's really important that we have trails established.
Yeah, I mean, it just, again, speaks to the enthusiasm behind this. There were some bitterly cold days. I mean, some of these people are really hardy, and they didn't think it was cold at all.
I
was freezing.
Yeah.
But we went out with this Avenza mapping tool, and we walked. Everybody got familiar with the property. We walked some of the existing trails. We considered areas that we might, it's nice to have a loop. And so we were kind of talking about, maybe we could go this way or go that way, and just starting to get familiar with the land. But these are all stewards and committee members who have gone out there on their own and worked on this stuff. We've had, I don't know, a half a dozen different events where they've gone out there and done this mapping work already. It's really wonderful. Next slide. Yeah, we were having fun. We were already doing a little bit of clearing on the existing trails, as there's a saw there. But we saw bear tracks. It was a great time. It was a great time. I'm really hope that many of you join in with this, because it's wonderful. Next slide. Oh. And then we've had a couple of meetings now, as Patrick mentioned.
And at our first meeting, we elected Betsy, the chair of the board of the committee.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, we did. And we're sitting here together now. Corey came, and Corey Cregan, the forester, came, and we just kind of started talking about, how do we do this? And what has to happen, and how do we make those first steps? And it's really wonderful to we have this really diverse group of people that all bring something else to the table, a different perspective. And, they talk about, when you do these things, there can be friction and disagreements, and people have different ideas about different things. And we are truly just now dipping our toes in, but we are a really harmonious group.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's a wonderful group of people. Great job, steering committee.
And again, as Betsy said, it's such diverse backgrounds, and people all have different points of view. And I think that really makes for a really, really successful committee.
Yeah. And I think it's important to mention that a number of folks on the committee many people have a deep background in this kind of thing, but there's we have neighbors that live across the street that treasure this property and know it like the back of their hand, and it's where they love to go and walk, and they care deeply about it. They're emotionally connected to it. You know, it's something that's going to be managed by the community. Next slide.
Yeah, I think so. So we've got a deadline. We've got a deadline on our back, which is the June 6th opening, and we've got a lot of exciting things planned for that opening. But again, some things that we need to get done between now and then are, this is our checklist of finalizing the trails, creating kiosks that have to be there, and building a parking lot, which is no small thing, right?
And planning the opening. We got to have a big party.
Yeah.
We have to name the trails. I mean, this is so much fun. Our next meeting, our next committee meeting is next Thursday, the 27th at 4:30 at Taconic Town Hall. And it's open. You know, if you're interested and you want to come and see and listen and, you know, get in on the ground floor, we would love more community engagement.
The more the merrier, really.
The more the merrier.
Next slide. Next slide, I think. Yeah. And one of the things we want to talk about is, like, there's a lot of opportunities for people who are interested, this sounds like something you want to be involved in. You want to be part of your community. You want to make new friends. You want to do something that really makes a difference. Because that's, for me, like, making a difference in this world is really makes me, like, really want to do these things. And I think, you know, if you want to get involved, we have a lot of opportunities for land stewards, for people who just want to participate and volunteer. Feel free to contact Patrick, Betsy, or me. And next slide, because we have our contact information there too. So feel free to email us if you have questions. You can ask questions tonight, certainly, but feel free to email us if you have questions after, if you have comments, if you have ideas. Come to the meeting on Thursday, or also feel free to email any of us.
Should we talk about what the mascot is?
Yeah, let's.
Are
we allowed to, Heidi?
Well, we voted on it. So at the tree planting, we had,
right.
So it's a barred owl and it's beautiful. And we just got the graphics for it, and it'll make you weak in the knees. It's so lovely. So we're going to have some swag pretty soon.
I see a t-shirt coming in our direction, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we could get something for the kickoff if people sign up. They could get a special owl thing.
There's the market at work. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's the end of our presentation, right?
Yeah. And look at that, 7:04. Well done, team.
Not bad. I think that's the first time Betsy and I have been together and have spoken for such a short period of time.
And stayed on subject.
Right.
Well, thank you, all three of you. And I have a few questions that have come in. And then please, if you have other ones, feel free to keep putting those in the chat. But I think one question that came up is for Pat. And you mentioned a little bit in the beginning about how this is a different type of public area. And could you maybe talk a little bit more about how this is different from some of our other properties like Greenport or Overmountain that people might be most familiar with? I mean, yeah. I think you've touched on it. All of you have touched on it a little bit, but sort of.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think that, you know, when I think about Greenport in particular, I think about how our team at CLC really tries to think about the kind of huge user group of Greenport and capture all of their interests and balance them with the ecological needs. There are some really special habitats at Greenport. There are some, you know, pretty degraded ecological areas at Greenport too. So we try to, you know, find opportunities to actively manage the land that bring people in while kind of not stepping on these other interests. I think that the big difference with TCF is that I said TCF, that's what I call the Taconic Community Forest. The big difference with TCF is that we have these stakeholders right there at the table. There's a lot less guesswork involved. I think that the trail mapping is a great kind of example. There's a group of people that are really enthusiastic about these recreational opportunities. There is this like basic human need to walk a loop and not walk there and back. But we are also trying to be really mindful of any sensitive habitats. So while we're utilizing trails that have existed as old logging roads, we're also trying to make sure that we're not like trampling over any sensitive habitats and creating a new trail. So while one group is kind of mapping out these different options, we have another group going out and surveying the ecology of a proposed trail to make sure that this is, in fact, kind of the path of least resistance ecologically. So it's been I think at first there was a little bit of a fear about putting it to committee, but it's really filled all of our cups to be working on this together. And it really feels much more collaborative than how we manage some of our other sites.
I want to interject just for 1 second because I missed. The committee meeting is next Friday, the 27th. So don't show up on Thursday because there won't be anybody there. Sorry about that.
Thanks, Betsy. So there's a question about the governance structure and about how, what was this modeled on, and if you could maybe speak a little bit to what I think, Pat, you mentioned this is the first community forest in Columbia County, but there are a number of other community forests throughout the region. So I think this question is for Pat and Betsy and Tim, whoever would like to answer, sharing a little bit more about the governance.
Well, I'll start. So CLC is our parent company. They own the land. We have bylaws. We have a board liaison. We have Patrick. So we as committee members make proposals, suggestions on a management plan, and all of this is vetted by the CLC. So we have good guardrails in place. We have a tremendous, the CLC affords us so much support, so much knowledge. This stuff is so in their wheelhouse. We took Pat and I and Tim took the Trust for Public Land has a really great program on how to develop community forests. There was a seminar series that we took last year that offered a lot of guidance and suggestions on how to set this up. But it's evolving. As we sit together and make plans, we do have guardrails, but we're developing it as we go. And I think the question, what are the advantages of this structure versus a more conventional governance by a land trust? I'm sure Pat can speak to this better, or Heidi, but I do just want to mention, one thing I think is really important is that, the CLC is busy, man. They do a lot of stuff, just the work involved in this tree planting, like we talked about earlier, to have another group of people that are making, decisions and doing the hard work and chasing down quotes, and I'm doing the driveway stuff right now. We're like part of the team. I think it frees up their resources to focus on other properties, and I think a huge advantage of this, or what I like to believe, is this sense of ownership for the local community. We're sitting around the table and we're making decisions about this piece of property for our community. I think that's really powerful. Patrick, you want to add anything to that? Tim?
You were well spoken, definitely.
Yeah, I would just add that I don't think anything we've done is reinventing the wheel. I, I've been a business owner before where I've had to be my own mechanic, plumber, veterinarian, and everything else that I'm not qualified to do. And I'm fortunate to be working with CLC and a group of people that we can tackle these kind of big questions and creative problem solving together. So we worked with members of CLC's board to put together the committee bylaws. We've got attorneys involved, and we are. I just feel really grateful that it's not just me and Betsy flailing on this, but we've we've got a lot of really good support. There are a lot of great models out there, and I think Betsy plugged the Trust for Public Land, which has been a great resource for us in developing this framework.
Thanks. So then there's another question here about the sustainable financial structure. What do you envision as the most sustainable financial structure for this forest, for this property?
Got any grant writers out there? Yeah, it's part of what we're going to have to do is figure out, how to raise funds, how to pay for, improvements and projects. And that's a big part of what the committee is going to be working on. We're going to be looking for grant opportunities. We've got support from the CLC, but we have to figure something out.
I think I would just add to that that yes, so it is, as one of CLC's properties, we are committed to this the success of it. And I think in other examples from around the Northeast where community forests are pretty common, like in the state of Vermont, oftentimes the town will own the property and will also have a budget for it. And so in our model, CLC owns the property. We have budget and have raised some funds for the endowment. And then, but as Betsy said, we'll be looking for ways to continue to support the property. And that's why the land stewards are so important to this property and to this model in terms of kind of expanding our ability to manage the property kind of exponentially. As Pat mentioned, there's a staff of 3 to manage all of the properties that CLC owns throughout the county. So we're really excited for this opportunity to try out this new model. And I guess I would say another question that came in is that during we heard a lot about the successes of the partnerships with the committee and working on the tree planting. What, if any, challenges during the process did you all have when, from a year ago to now? Anything you'd like to share for other people looking to create a community forest in their community?
I think I've already mentioned this, but my trepidation of getting into this was like, this is a big responsibility, and how do we do this, and how do we even make a plan? And I think that the fact that was a huge challenge for me, because we're going to take this on, and we better be sure that we can do it. We better be sure that we're really good stewards of the land. And what really, again, helped me with that was the forester talking about breaking it into pieces and really thinking about what you could do with each of those pieces, and not just a big whole and what do you do. So that really gave me a lot of solace as far as that particular challenge, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think a lot of us felt good about that. It was like, oh, okay, I can put my arms around this.
I guess for me, this is like not a, I don't know, typical challenge, but it's one of the challenging parts for me has just been the enthusiasm for this project has kind of set us on this like breakneck timeline where we are just barreling towards opening this site up so that we can share it with everyone and all enjoy it. So in the process, we have, I don't know if you all remember last May, but we had like the week leading up to the tree planting. I think it rained in my memory, 12 feet of rain. Uh, and we were just kind of in contingency plan after contingency plan, trying to make sure that we can stay on track. And because of the support and the amount of people that are really um, in love with this property and this goal, we just keep pulling it off. So um, it's been a challenge, but so far we've been able to handle it.
Thanks. Are there plans to engage high school students in activities, trail development, or, maybe for extra credit for them?
I swear that's not a plan. I just met with Martin Ping yesterday or the day before yesterday from Hawthorne Valley. And we are actually going to go and present a little bit to their student body and ask them, what kinds of things might attract younger people to this property. What would they like to see as far as recreational activities, and also see if they would be they have a community service obligation, the students there, to see if perhaps they would be interested in coming, with trail building, invasive removal, et cetera, that kind of thing. So we are working on connecting with students. Yeah, very much want to get the younger people engaged in this. One of the recurring themes of these seminars that we were listening to at the Public Land Trust, they had a lot of people talking who had already put community forests together, and sustaining interest in these things and getting younger people was a recurring theme. It's not easy. So, we have to start out really strongly so that we can really get this embedded in people.
Okay. Another question is, let's see. Was there an established interest or spirit of collaboration in your community before you thought to do this? What do you think sparked this or built the foundation, if so? It's a great question.
Well, I bet everybody wants to answer this, but I want to give a shout out to the community that I live in, Taconic. We have an incredible bunch of people that live in Taconic. We have a bunch of incredible people that live in our neighboring communities. We have a really vibrant conservation advisory committee / climate smart committee with a bunch of people that are really dedicated, really involved. We've been doing all this climate mitigation action over the year. That's actually how I first came to know Tim. We've planted pollinator gardens. We're this insanity that is all around us, and to be able to do something right in front of you, that really affects your community and the ground that you walk on is many of us felt that way, and we have this great bunch of people.
And just to add to that, I mean, and to give a plug for our Taconic Talks, we have these series of talks on conservation, and last year was the year of the forest, and we had 4 talks, and we had like amazing turnout of people and really interested people. And I can tell when there's people in the audience, they were engaged in asking questions and really interested in taking care of their community and the ecology of their community, and just being together with each other. So that kind of is a corollary to all of this that has been kind of running along parallel with it. So we just kind of knew that this was going to be a good thing, right?
Yeah.
We knew that CLC had picked the correct community, not Northern Columbia County, but Southern Columbia County. I'm probably not allowed to say that.
Well, we've gotten community-wide, county-wide
Yeah,
support
we
from
have.
everybody. And that's another thing I want to say about the CLC is their care for this area goes beyond just the land. They care about the people, they care about housing. I mean, we're trying to make this as inclusive as we can for as many people as we can from all walks. And it's an honor to be affiliated
Yeah.
with them.
Great. Pat, did you have anything to add to that?
No, I guess from where I'm standing, I definitely saw an enthusiasm in the town of Taconic that kind of stood out from some of the other towns across the county. The Taconic Talks being a big part of that, and I think that there is a real kind of identity around conservation in Taconic. So it felt kind of ripe for this opportunity. I think a lot of times, and when we were in this group with the Trust for Public Lands, we were learning a lot about a lot of community forests that were kind of from the community. There was a property that was under threat of development or some sort of kind of mismanagement. And then the community members band together, they buy this property, they convey it to the town or a land trust, and commit to managing it as a group. For Taconic Community Forest, it went a little bit backwards from that perspective. Like CLC had identified this property through the Headwaters Plan, and then we thought, we really can only pull this off if we have some strong support from the community and some stakeholders there. So let's see what we can stir up. And I think the tree planting was one of the strategies that was really successful in just kind of getting this momentum, this unstoppable momentum to all gather at this place and join forces together. So I think that it could and should happen in other places across the county. I could imagine it happening more easily because there is this precedent in Taconic. I could imagine it happening differently, and maybe a group of neighbors band together and bring an idea to CLC, or maybe we can just run it back and do the whole thing all over again somewhere else.
Great. So there's another question that came in from folks, or from one person that said, for the three of you, we planted between 12 and 1,500 trees. What was your favorite tree?
Well, you know what my favorite tree is. The tree that I think Troy didn't really want to plant. It's the red buckeye, but I have many, many favorite trees. So I really shouldn't speak because every tree is my favorite tree.
I'm a big dogwood fan. Patrick, what's your favorite?
Yeah, what is your favorite tree?
On the day of the tree planting, the big tree planting, I only planted one tree, and it was with Tim, and it was one of the Shewitt oaks. And I know right where that one is, so I'm keeping my eye on it.
Thank you for digging that hole, by the way.
I did go back, the next couple weeks and planted a whole bunch more of other trees, but I think that one tree in particular is a special one.
And I think I was muted before. Maybe Pat muted me, but maybe I was muted. But we have this great community, and we talked about that, but we could not have done this without the CLC staff, without Pat, without Heidi, without Andrew, without Luke. I mean, they have been so amazing. So if you are thinking about creating another community for us in your community, I mean, they're the people to work with. We've been so impressed by their professionalism, their really strong work ethic, and also just the fact that we have so much fun with them.
Yeah. 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 Heidi, what's your favorite tree?
The
Button bush.
sycamore.
The sycamore?
That's a nice.
All right. Well, we are coming to the close of our presentation at 7:27, and I know it's been mentioned that we have a committee meeting next week, Friday, at the Taconic Town Hall. If anybody's interested in learning more and wants to come see that in action, they are open to the public. And stay tuned for more. If you have an interest in becoming a land steward, please reach out to one of us. We'll be sending out some resources after the presentation, including a link to becoming a land steward, our events page for future events. And I just want to thank everyone for joining, and also for Betsy and Tim and Pat for presenting. So thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you all out there on the land, and have a great evening.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for sharing your time with us. We appreciate it.